This meeting is being recorded.
Greetings and welcome to another round of Master Phil in Your Corner. This episode is number 97. We have a very special guest. First time appearing here is George Cedeno Jr. And today we're going to talk about, are you prepared? Before we get into this though, we have to make our shameless plugs. Don't forget to check out philross.com for all of your needs in strength, conditioning, fitness, self-defense, so forth. We have it all there. We have online training, seminars, certifications, one-on-one training, small groups, so forth. And we also have available Health is a Wealth. You want to check that out for the virtual platform that is designed with your health in mind. So without any further ado, let me introduce George. George, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thank you for having me, Phil. I really do appreciate it. On a short notice, we just met last week, but really do appreciate you having me on your show.
Yeah, we met, and I don't know, I saw you, we started talking, clicked, and I said, you know what, I got to have this guy on as a guest. He's awesome. And I'll give everyone a little bit of your background. You're alumnus from Fordham University and City University of New York, John Jay College of Criminal Justice. That's like one of the tops in the country, if not the top in the country. You're currently a program coordinator, and that's after being promoted from a senior inspector investigator for Westchester County. So It's a pretty big deal. You're a former confidential investigator with the Department of Investigation assigned to Squad 8, New York City Health and Hospitals, Office of the Inspector General. Wow. And then here's another really very impressive one. 12 years of honorable service with the United States Marine Corps. The assignments included a presidential detail with Marine One, 2 combat tours in Afghanistan, and 2 overseas diplomatic posts with the U.S. Department of the State. That's a pretty good resume there. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing with Method Tactical, because I saw that card, Method Tactical, and I don't know, just like, wow, lights went off in my head. So tell us what you do with Method Tactical.
Yeah, so just like a brief history, as we talk about that survival and being prepared and preparedness, keeping that concept of your podcast, that's something that's always started since I was a child. So unfortunately, I drew the unlucky straw, but I had a very, very turbulent childhood. By the age of 15, I was pretty much couch surfing from house to house, not living with mom and dad. So that's where survival mode kind of kicked in, and always that constant being prepared. So when you think about your youth, you're always like, you're being taken care of your parents, nothing will ever happen. So there is no preparedness. Most people, most civilians, they just walk around in life thinking that the worst will never happen. Unfortunately, it did for me. And so I prepared, and I've always been in that mindset of prepare for the worst and hope for the best. And so with Method Tactical, that kind of came about, I want to say almost 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And how it came about is actually very interesting. After 12 years in the Marine Corps, people would say, well, why'd you get out? You had such a beautiful career, presidential tour. You were at the State Department. What happened? Well, I suffered a severe career-ending spinal cord injury, and spent so I spent the year at Walter Reed, my last year in recovery. And then I finally was able to become medically discharged. Now, subsequently, I'm actually retired because they correct my paperwork. That itself was another fight. So that's always been my kind of like my personality is like ambition, fight, preparedness. It's all compiled into one. It's that warrior spirit,
Oh yeah, it's funny. Yeah. You mentioned, I don't know if you know, but I have a spinal cord injury too.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah.
They're not fun.
I got a zipper in my neck.
No kidding.
Yeah.
It's
see my hand, my thenar muscle's gone.
Oh man.
Yeah, I had to learn to shoot with my hand like this.
No kidding. Yeah. So as you know, it's always that constant, preparedness and survival. So my career ended short. That's how I ended up in school. I was always against college because I went to the Marine Corps at 17,
right.
and I just never thought or saw myself going to school, but I figured, well, I'm gonna have to prepare for the real world. And I didn't want to leave money on the table. The
Sure.
taxpayer already invested heavily in our GI Bill. So I went to Fordham. I took a leadership degree with a minor in business. And then I went to John Jay and got my MPA with a focus in investigations and contracts, and did very well. Then became an investigator. Then I ended up in Westchester. And in between going from DOI to being in Westchester, that whole time for 6.5 years, I still do belong to a certain cigar club in Fort Lee called the Cigar Room. And about 6.5 years ago is where I met my business partner. Unbeknownst to me, never knew we were going to become business partners. But I tell everyone, when people ask me, was Fordham a great business school? I said yes. But that portion is at the Cigar Room. Believe it or not. Yeah.
Let me ask, now, okay, you have this spinal cord injury. Now, did you have to go through the academy to become an investigator, or because of your
No. So that's why I've chosen these unarmed, type of law enforcement, because I would not be medically qualified to go through an actual academy.
Yeah.
So the things so the IG field, and where I'm at now, it's always that combination or kind of hovers around criminality, but it's more on the civil regulatory side.
Okay.
But the principles of investigation are still the same.
They're
They
still the
don't
same.
change.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the bonds and the connections that you make with traditional law enforcement are there as well.
Okay.
So for anyone hearing this, it's never ending. It doesn't end. Some people feel like, I can't make it to an academy because of XYZ. There's different forms of law enforcement that are out there that are not really spoken of, So it's just, it takes that ambition, it takes that survival, it takes that constantly being prepared. So, when COVID came, unfortunately, when I was at DOI, they sent us home and we couldn't work on investigations. So it's like, well, we're supposed to be investigating the hospital, but we're here at home. So there was nothing to do. I started actually acting upon what I learned in school, in business school. And so I started my first company, which failed miserably right away, but that's fine. That's what happens. And you learn from your failures. And after that, I was approached to become a candidate for the township and run for council in 2020. I got approved and I got permission from the city to do that. I lost, but I learned a lot as well. And then once that loss happened, my buddy at the cigar lounge named Rob was like, "Hey, I'm starting up this method tactical. Would you like to come on board?" And I was like, "Sure. What's the idea?" So we came together, and by February, we found a location here in Saddlebrook. And it's actually an amazing concept what we have, because it's not what people envision when you hear it. Yeah. So people method tactical, what is that? And it's that curiosity to explain more. So what it is, it's a combination of your traditional firearms retail store, and then it also encompasses your law enforcement, your tactical side. So we don't do traditional like uniforms like other surrounding uniform stores. We focus more on the special units. So SWAT team, ESU. One of our first clients was East Hampton Police Department in Connecticut. We outfitted their entire SWAT team with helmets and vests and shields and all that stuff. So we do like things like breacher tools and all that. And we've really focused on that operator, versus your traditional law enforcement gear. But we do have it. We do have like your duty belts and things like that. And then the cool thing also too that we incorporated is we also have a training center, and we utilize the Milo Range, which is a simulator tool that has over 800 live scenarios. And you use different firearms that are with laser projection.
I was gonna say they're using the laser, not live rounds.
Exactly. And it has, it feels great when you use the system because of the sound that's in, the way everything is set up. And it actually desensitizes a lot of individuals that have never been in certain situations. There's things that when you go to an academy, right? That you'll learn the basics, but then as in everything, even in the Marine Corps, there's going to be times where you're faced with a situation that you've never been faced with before in real life.
Mhm.
And this system kind of gets you almost there, you know? So for instance, we had a security team train for an active shooter at a school, you
Mhm.
know? I've used the system, and when I first used it in a active shooter scenario with children screaming and things like that, and the chaos, it's different when you go to those shoot and no shoot scenarios. So it really prepares the operator for situations that may arise, unfortunately, in the future. And it's something that you just cannot get in anywhere else.
No,
So
so
that's the
yeah,
creative.
I'm really interested in this and I
Yeah.
think I may have touched on this with you a little bit because I'm actually the defensive tactics hand-to-hand instructor for a P3 training group. It's a pretty new group. I'm the only non-law enforcement guy in the group, but I've trained a lot of law enforcement officers. But we have a need for facilities like this, you know, because we're doing we do active we do active shooter training. We teach people how to use firearms, and a lot of people are nervous. And it
Correct.
seems like, with this type of training that God, they would actually get to practices without having to fire a real,
Correct.
no live ammo. How big is this facility? Like what is the setup? Do you have like is it like you're going down a street or you're in a house or
So the training center is roughly about 750 square feet.
Okay.
And it's divided in the middle with a partition. So it's in a blacked out room and it's all tinted so you don't get lighting. So we could train during the day as well. So it won't affect the optics on the simulator because it's very sensitive. And for a good reason. The more sensitivity, the more the accuracy of the actual system. And then the other side is just like an open utility room. It's like a waiting area that we have. But it's cool because if you're not using the simulator, you could use the entire room. You could practice on room clearing because there's different compartments within our training center. So there's different doors that open to the left, the other doors that open to the right, which is good for room clearing and for stacking, things like that. And then the actual simulator itself, it's you're able to fit about comfortably four individuals, like 4 officers in there, with a fifth person, which is normally like the trainer or the instructor. So it's a really cool setup, and not because it's because we own it, but it's not, it's there, but it hasn't really been like utilized because there's not too much publicity on it. But like I know Paramus PD, like there's certain police departments that have the funding, that have these simulators, but there's also municipalities out there in Jersey and even in upstate New York that we're close to that don't have the funding for this type of system. So that's where private industry comes in, like us, right? And our price points are very, very, very low compared to, spending the time, firing off real rounds. I tell everyone, you go to the range, but you can't train how you're going to train to actually fight, like train how you fight, right? You can't do that at any range anywhere in New Jersey with live ammo. It's just not going to happen. And you're never going to get that scenario where you're dealing with an emotionally disturbed person, or you're dealing with a home break-in, or you're dealing with pulling over a vehicle, or you're dealing with a hostage situation, and you have to think quick and pull that firearm and actually pull that trigger. One quick story: when I was using the simulator, I've never shot in a hostage situation, not even in the Marine Corps, because that's not our thing, right? Like a normal, like I'm not a sniper. I didn't do that. I was a commander for the security team at the embassies, and we shot. I tell everybody, I shot more with the State Department than I did in the Marine Corps. I shot more with the State Department than when I went to Afghanistan. Yeah, but we never trained like hostage stuff, that's not what we do. But I noticed that when you involve other human beings in the mix, where officers are going to find themselves in this situation, and this is the fifth safety rule with firearms, right? Know your target and what lies beyond,
Yep.
right? That's like a yeah when you're at the range and there's a berm.
Right,
But when
right,
you're
right.
using the simulator now, there were times where I shot and I thought that I had the subject, but instead the round went underneath his like arm by the armpit and actually hit another innocent person. Right.
Yeah.
So that's the type of training that you get, and a lot of people are never going to, people think that they're a great shot, but when the pressure's on and there's chaos, it's very different. And this system provides that.
This is wild. I got to get down there because
Mhm.
I have my CCW in New Jersey. I practice. I try to go at least once a week or once every other week with my my handguns and rifles too. But and I have laser guns in my house. I practice with those. But the replication of this scenario, that's incredibly important. People have to realize that you have a big responsibility when you have a firearm. Not only to yourself and your family, but to anyone else in the area.
Correct.
You have to know your target and beyond. So, and also when you're in these stressful situations, you have to replicate that somehow. That's like, practicing martial arts and then never fighting live and expecting to be able to defend yourself or win a championship, after
Correct.
live. You
Correct.
have to do your best to simulate that and, feel that pressure, get the whole picture. And I even do the tactical shooting at the range when we shut it down, a few of us, but still it's not the same as this. It's not the same as a simulator. Because you have it comes up graphically, you have a house, you have someone in a car or whatever the case.
But it's actually like live. Like it's not like some CGI. It's actually recorded live, like you and I.
Wow.
So that's the thing, that most individuals have never been in a situation where they have to neutralize a threat while there's screaming children.
Wow.
You could be a cop for 20 years and never have experienced that. And it's a different feeling. So, and just like with martial arts, there's like, I say the paper target, you go to these other ranges around here. That's like you working out, hitting the bag, right? The simulator, in a sense, is you actually sparring with a sparring partner. Right? That's the next before the real deal.
For the real deal. Yeah.
For the real deal.
So this is basically as real as it's going to get.
Correct.
Real.
Correct. That's it. And so there was a few scenarios where every time I wanted to get the subject, because in my mind I did not want to hit an innocent person, I kept missing the target subconsciously. And I'm a great shot, but it was because subconsciously I've never had to hit a target where literally a half a foot to the left or to the right of that subject, I have innocent individuals. So, you overcompensate, and it's amazing how the physiology, the psychosis and the physical, when they combine, they really do, because you're trying your hardest to hit the target, but your mind knows that there's innocent individuals to the left or right, and you're going to overcompensate, and that's another thing where in the simulator, you'll see how many rounds you go off, right? So you could set it to like 30 rounds, 17. And we do that to display, how many rounds you're going to go through quickly without even a magazine change. Like, that's how we start. Like, just do it at first. And it's like, bud, you went through 29 rounds. You don't have that in real life. You have maybe 17 and one in the chamber on certain firearms. Certain duty.
But in New Jersey, if you're carrying, you only have 10.
Well, for duty officers.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Yeah. And so then it's the importance of training for magazine change.
Right.
Then that's the next step.
And a lot of people make mistakes on those magazine changes because they
Correct.
pop it out and they'll reach down and get it.
Correct.
You have to leave that thing there. Leave it there. Move on. Because
That's it. Yeah.
you're gonna train like that. When
Yeah.
I train, I change magazine. I leave it there. When I'm done shooting, I pick it up. But people make that mistake. It's just like sometimes there are actual documented incidents of this where someone who's trained in martial arts will defend themselves, take the knife away, and then hand it back.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because they're trained, and people are like, no, that wouldn't. I'm like, yes, it has happened, and that's why when I train my guys to take a knife away, it's on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
I never hand it back to them. You have to pick it up because I'm not going to hand it back. You never hand the weapon back when you're training. The same thing with the magazine. And people, they think, okay, yeah, I bought this gun, I went to the range, I shot, I know what I'm doing. You don't know anything. All right.
Correct.
There's so much to learn. Like this, I want to do this now. I want to test myself. I want to learn this. I want to get good at this because I've never done something like this. And I can see there's a huge benefit for this, So.
Yeah, it's especially now with the CCW, in New Jersey. There's one thing, getting your CCW and going shooting off real rounds and becoming used to that, becoming pretty much numb to the recoil and to the sound. For many first timers, it's an unbearable sound. It's like, wow, what in the what? But someone like myself, you're so used to it. But then this system, that's where you're really, really honing in on your fundamentals, and you're being.
Yeah, let me. Do you bring your own weapon, or do you have weapons?
No, so currently what we have is the 3 duty weapons that most law enforcement agencies use, and that's the Glock 17, the P320, and the Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0. So those are the 3 that we have that are laser, the SIRT pistols, and then we have one that actually has a laser and it has recoil because it's powered with CO2 gas or vert gas, green gas. Yeah. So that one's the M18. So it's like the military P320 SIG, and when you shoot it, it feels like you're shooting a 22. Like the recoil, there's some pop to it, and the sound is like really loud with the sound system. So it's good. That one's a little bit more finicky because after about 40 rounds, like the magazines, they all get too cold, and then they just start. That one's a little bit finicky. It's good to use right in the beginning. But it's a great system. It's a great tool to have. And
what's it called?
It's called Milo, MILO, Milo range.
Does that stand for anything, or is it?
No, not that I know of. But I know there's a few documentaries out there of like the FBI Academy, and they use it down in Quantico in the academy for different training modules and things like that. And I thought it was something great to also to bring. My partner was really big on it in the beginning because I'm more of the financial guy. I was a little bit conservative. I was like, I don't think we should invest so much money on this system, and it is a lot. And now we're starting to gain the momentum of individuals being curious. Yeah. So we had a security team that does the armed security for the Passaic County charter school system. Mm-hmm. And they came on a Sunday. So we do groups. We do group specials. They came.
How big do you do your groups? What's the largest group you take?
I mean, comfortably, like in the entire area where we're at, 20 people could come. 20 people? And then you do, and then you rotate, and it's great because the way I envision it is, especially when you're with an instructor, like, especially if there's maybe 2 instructors, like the computer guy, like myself, that's running the system. Since I'm a firearms guy, I could assist the actual shooters. Mm-hmm. But then the other trainer could train all the dry fire stuff, all the DT, the hand-to-hand in the other room. So it's really, for anyone that owns a security company and wants to invest in their guards, having training, or any PD that wants to, they could contact me and send me an email or whatnot, and it's used for that reason.
I mean, this is great. I got an idea for a follow-up. I'm going to come down there. We're going to videotape me doing this stuff, and we're going to put
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. For
Yeah.
sure. Because it's amazing. But, you know, all of this stuff, you know, that, you know, this is at the peak that we're at right now with the training side. Now on the retail side, we're starting our e-commerce, right?
Mhm.
Which is another thing. You know, all of this stuff, you know, for your viewers, when we're talking about preparedness and survival, you know, a lot of times people in life, they get to a certain point where they don't know what to do. You know, it's kind of like the end of the road, midlife crisis, or, you know, mental health, or whatever the case may be. But like I tell everyone, you just got to do it. You just got to do it. Like this stuff, like, you know, didn't happen overnight. Blood, sweat, and tears, family support, a lot of praying. You know, I'm big in my faith. I'm probably the worst Christian you ever met, but you know, but I do believe in Christ. I'm big on God. I'm big on prayer, because that's the only reason why I'm here. Right. Everything I've ever been through, my God, if we could go on for hours about all the stuff that I've been through, but it's always God. And I just say to people that have never had the guts to do something, just do it. Live by faith and not by fear, because that's the only way you're going to actually really be prepared for combat. And I'm talking about combat, not bullets and all that stuff and bombs. I'm talking about the regular rigors of combat in life, you know, and it's very important, you know. Even to this day, every time we do something at our business, it's a risk. We don't know the climate of the economy, this and that, and everybody's always, you know, you're living in this constant anxiety.
Yeah, you know what? There's always a reason not to do something.
Oh, correct.
You know? Always a reason not to do something. People are like, oh, you know, oh, this not right. It's not right. You know what? Just go do it. And you know what? I failed before, but I've been successful. You failed before, but you've been successful. So, you know, it's going to happen. And
Yeah, we all failed. I mean, trust me.
Let me tell you something. If you never failed, then you never tried.
Correct. Yeah, and you know, and there's a lot of individuals that are out there. I mean, even for me, like fitness has always been a big thing in my life. You know, being the Marine Corps and all that. And then once I destroyed my spine, I felt like never be able to attain like how I used to. But about, you know, 2 years ago, I said, you know what, screw it. You know, I got this business going, I got the politics going, you know, I got to start working out again. I got to start eating better. I got to get out of this. I can't do this because of my back. You know, like, you can still do it. Be smart about it to not re-hurt yourself. You know, you could put those guardrails up, you know your left and lateral limits, you know, but I urge people that whatever they have, that beast that they have in them, that hunger, they have to do it. Because if not, you know, time passes and you're going to realize, like, what did I do?
Yeah. Hey, you know
I
what?
didn't do anything.
Yeah. You don't want to say shoulda, woulda, coulda. They don't have to one little word, did. So, you know, I could have done this, should have done that, would have that. You know what? You have to go for it. Like, I'll tell you, we'll also talk about your back too.
Mm-hmm.
This is a book called The End of Back Pain by Dr. Pat Raw. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
you read it, but he thanks me for the exercises in it. I trained him personally for 10 years. We were on TV with this book too.
Oh, no kidding. Wow.
Yeah, a number of years ago.
Yep.
Yeah, we were on Channel 13 for a half-hour segment. He and I and a couple other people. Yeah, but it's we'll talk about that back because I have some decent remedies for that.
Awesome. No, I appreciate that. No, I really do.
I'll tell you, George. You know, before we wrap things up,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
you know, let people know again. I know I'm going to put everything's going to be in the text for this when we post it, but just again, let everyone know best way to get in contact with you and get some of this training on the Milo in. That thing's awesome.
Yeah. So the easiest way to find us is on Facebook and Instagram. So our website too, it's www.methodtactical.com. Just simple, methodtactical.com. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram.
Is the IG handle Method Tactical as well?
Correct. Yeah, it is. And and then that's the easiest way to contact us. Our phone number is 201-546-1143. And if I messed that up, I probably did, because I can't remember.
It'll be in the description.
But we're on 505 Saddle River Road in Saddlebrook on the second floor above Nick's Sandwich Shop. We've been open 2 years now. It'll be in June. We've been open. So it's it's right off of, it's in between the Garden State Parkway and Route 4.
I know exactly.
Very accessible, plenty of parking.
Yeah.
You know, that's always a pet peeve of mine. You know, I grew up in Hudson County where there was never parking. So I love the fact that, you know, and the thing is, like, when you get there, it's ran like a family. You know, when you come and shop at Method Tactical, it's really like you become a member without having to pay a membership.
Yeah.
You know, every time I have like additional free stickers or keychains, I always hand them out. You know, always try to make people feel pleasant, because it is kind of, you know, scary when someone walks in like, oh, it's my first time purchasing a firearm. Or you get those brand new recruits that they're about to get to the academy. They have like no idea, you know? So instead of treating the new recruits like ass, because they're already going to be treated like crap anyway by their drill instructors, you know, we try to not to give them that pain. You know, we just try to help everybody out. You know, I really believe in the servant type of leadership. You know, that's how I've always been, and I've that's kind of transcended in the way I treat my customers. So, for instance, like yesterday, I personally delivered a vest, right, a bulletproof vest from Safe Life Defense. We're an authorized dealer from Safe Life, and because of her work schedule of bouncing at night and then doing security during the day, she couldn't come to the store, and, you know, lives in Kearney. I'm only 15, 20 minutes away. I'll drive over there, no charge. You know, she's like, oh my God, thank you so much. Those are like the little things that count, you know, because it's a hectic world out there, you know.
Oh yeah.
And we have everything for everybody. And most people are like, oh, do you have to be a cop? It's like, no, it's open for everyone. You know, as long as you don't have a criminal record, you know, you're good. But we do have rules and stuff like that, especially like when we're handing, you know, because that's kind of also too, a lot of people, when you go to a firearm store, there's that kind of like that, I wouldn't say so much like bravado, but there is some type of people just say attitude, right? But what individuals don't understand, the firearm industry is like, it's very serious stuff, and the paperwork is very serious. So a lot of times the owners, they're so hyper focused on the paperwork and ensuring that a round didn't accidentally enter the chamber somehow. You know, you got to think of all these like crazy scenarios. So there's kind of like that strictness, you know. Even my business partner, he's the one that deals with the firearms. Yeah. That's kind of like how he always is. And then when there's other customers there, when I'm there, I just tend to have a conversation with them and make them feel comfortable. You know, but it's a very it is a risky business, though. It really is. Because it's really hard to scale, you know. I don't know. It's tough.
No, it is. It's tough. So you know what, you don't always have to get large to be successful.
Correct.
You know.
Well, the good thing is that in New Jersey we have a lot of population up here. You know, almost 1 million people in just Bergen County alone. So, you know, that's the way I see it. The volume comes in based on people, good customer service, get them what they need, get them what they want as quickly and as honest as possible. You know, there's some little philosophies.
Can you, I mean, gosh, I don't think you can really say too much else. You gave some great information, some great tips. I got to come down and check this place out. This is, I tell you, I don't know if you saw my eyes light up when you showed me what you did. I'm like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah, no, it really is. And and you know, and I'll put it out there. I think I've mentioned to you before that during the daytime, you know, it's not being utilized, you know, so. Like, I wish I could find someone like an instructor, like a DT guy that, you know, kind of like a personal trainer at the gym that brings his clientele or wants to host a group event or something, you know, something. Yeah.
No, because I just got asked to do a defensive tactics seminar, and they said, do you have a place to do it? And I said, yes. So we'll say always say yes.
Yeah, say yes and then figure it out.
Figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the Marine Corps way.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Well, my dad was a Marine, so are all my uncles. So yeah.
Well, when I met you last week, that's what I thought when I engaged with you, I was like, oh, this guy's got to definitely be retired. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, it looks pretty fit, you know. So then when you said that you were martial arts instructor, MMA, and this, and I was like, holy crap, this is freaking awesome, you know.
Well,
But
yeah, I'll definitely, yeah, we'll set up. I'll come down there. And guys, you got to check out methodtactical.com and get involved. You know, come see my boy George over here, and not boy George, no, not like
yeah. No, I get it.
But you know, I don't think you're gonna be disappointed. I can't wait to get myself down there. George, any last words before we go?
Yeah. Just, you know, for the viewers, just always stay positive, never give up. That's the biggest thing. A lot of craziness going on in the world. You know, I'm big in politics and all that stuff as well. Big on the conservative thought of governance.
Yes.
You know, good governance, responsible governance, and you know, we're just seeing also the lack of humanity on all sides. You know, I was on Facebook earlier today looking through the news, and it's like, Jesus, I just closed my phone because there's like no good news stories out there. Everything is, you know, just so much. But, you know, the people out there that kind of feel like they're at the end of the road and they don't know what to do, you know, just reach out to God. That's the biggest thing, because it is tough.
Excellent words. Strength and honor.
Got it.